Ladies and gentlemen, Scots and Ramonas, Chewies and Chewettes, welcome back to this thingy that I'm doing with the thingies and, gonna make this a thing. That was a lot of things in a row. That's probably really distracting, huh? Let me just... There? Yeah, that looks normal, right? No, I'll just be blurry. Well, I mean, you'll see me clearly, but I will be blurry to myself for a while. Today, we're going to talk about a new thing, and it is the thing that I am saying thing a lot in this episode. We are going to talk about the item that I mentioned at the end of the shrinking issue with the mass. We're going to go ahead and talk about how vampires can't get boners. And yes, this is a very, very real problem for them. And we're going to take you into the situation. So, let's start. Get a little closer here. Let's go ahead and start with some vampire lore. So, if we look at why vampires need to suck blood, we will find that it's because they can't pump their own blood because their heart has stopped beating. So, this is where we run into problems. The only way for you to get an erection, we will be a little more scientific from this point on. The only way for you to get an erection is for your corpus spongiosum, which is the cells within the penis that fill with blood, or that in... This is uncomfortable to talk about to myself. The cells in the penis that engorge or whatever with blood, they swell up, and that's what gives it the oomph. It's actually what does all of it is that blood. So you need your heart to be pumping, to pump that blood into the tissue of the spongiosum to make it erect. The thing about vampires is they don't have a beating heart. I mean, they have a heart, it doesn't beat. So we're going to be looking at, what was it called? Daybreakers, I think is the movie. Don't know how well that movie went over, in the box office or what have you. But we're going to go ahead and use that one because it's the only one that I can think of off the top of my head right here that directly refers to the fact that vampires don't have beating hearts. In that movie, at one point, a vampire gets thrust out of his car into the daylight, into the sun, and immediately, burst into flame. But then he flies through a waterfall into the shade, into a cave behind the waterfall. And the moment he burst into flames, his heart started beating again. And then he got doused out and put into the shadow. So, yes, he had like third-degree burns all over his body, but his heart started beating, and then he got into the shade so he didn't burn alive. And then he became alive again. He was no longer a vampire, which is crazy. It's actually kind of cool to think about. God, I have spent way too much time going over the plot of this movie. This isn't even the plot. It's just like one instance that happened. Let's really get into the thick of it. Vampires can't get boners because their hearts don't beat. The reason they have to suck blood is to pump other blood through their bodies, through their veins, so it doesn't coagulate and they don't, starve and turn into those weird meth-like vampires that are really fucking scary, the ones that you don't want to run into. Like you'd want to run into the normal ones. Some weird people. Anyway, what we got to think about is if you can't fill that corpus spongiosum, you can't get a boner. And if you can't get a boner, you can't have sex. And that's the science behind sex. Not like the science behind making babies. That's the science behind doing it. Getting down and dirty. So, this is going to be a short video because it's pretty self-explanatory. The only way that yes, granted, it would be possible for a vampire to get a boner. The only way, though, is for them to actively be sucking blood and be aroused at the same time, which I know is like a kind of recurring theme in vampire lore is that sucking blood is really sensual. But the thing is, you'd have to be sucking blood constantly. Maybe. Because if you were sucking blood, you could get aroused. But let's say the blood didn't pump. Now, you would still get forced out. See, what I'm thinking is maybe if you sucked blood and achieved an erection while you were sucking blood, and then stopped sucking blood, if you didn't have a heart to pump it back, it would just remain there, you know? Like one of those situations. But like I was saying at the end of the last video, you know, Viagra wouldn't work because Viagra only increases blood flow to the area. It wouldn't actually make blood flow if you didn't have a heartbeat. So, in summation, vampires can't get boners. Vampires can't bang. And so all that tutti frutti crap in all the modern vampire movies that I just destroyed my love of the vampire genre, Twilight, aren't true. There's no way that what's-his-face vampire that sparkles could ravish the chick from Adventureland, the movie that I actually liked that she was in. Yeah, so that's it for me for today. By the way, do you like the way that I changed my hair, changed my shirt, and put on my glasses at the beginning of the video to make you think that I'm recording on a different day than the other one? That's just one of the tricks that I use to use you and to make my days go by with just a little less pain. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I don't know what I'm going to be talking about next, but I do feel that it will happen soon because that's what happens. You just think and you get out of your brain and you think. Bye. God, it would suck to be a vampire then. Personally, I thoroughly enjoy my boners. That's just me. Oh shit. Oh shit. I'm gonna die. Oh no. Oh, please don't be hurt. Slight damage. Okay. Doesn't say anything about being bit, so... Oh, cool. So he can barely walk, but when he's panicked, he can run like a mofo.